Hello, Freedom Nation. It's once again Jeff here for another episode of the Freedom Nation podcast. And on today's show, I'm actually interviewing Aurora Winter. We've already had a almost 20-minute conversation, so we're going to have to go back all over the stuff that we talked about before. But she is outstanding. If you are sitting here in the audience today, you're either that cubicle warrior trying to be a entrepreneur or get out of the cubicle, or you're a business owner that's painted into a corner and you can't figure out how to get out. Maybe writing a book may be a really good idea for you. So let me tell you that she is the real deal. She is a Amazon best-selling author, and she teaches you how to do the same thing and helps you walk through it. So stay tuned. We'll be right back on with you.
All in you. Everything you're looking for, it's all in you. You gotta believe that it's all in you. Everything you're searching for, it's all in.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the show. Aurora, how are you, my friend? I feel like I already know you because we spent 20 minutes talking. So awesome. Well, I'm really looking forward to sharing you with the audience. Like I said, you are the real deal. So I have a good BS meter, and you definitely are the real deal. So
well, I look forward to helping the listeners turn their words into wealth and come away with some gems
so
they
let's
can use
start.
Right away.
Tell us your story. How did you get to where you're at today and doing what you're doing?
Well, I am one of those diehard entrepreneurs. I've been an entrepreneur since my 20s when I realized working for a job was just not for me. I didn't want to be a cubicle warrior. And I launched the first business. The key question was, what business can we launch without any money? So we had a yacht charter or a boat rental company, followed by some much more lucrative businesses. I've been in the yacht sales business, the yacht rental business. I worked as a TV executive producer. I launched a film and television company, raised $5 million, made 8 films. Then I was in the coach training space, and now I'm in the publishing space. I've had 3 exits.
Beautiful.
So 3 of my businesses were sold. So that was cool. And that was a whole
Absolutely.
adventure in and of
Yeah,
itself. Made a few errors there that we could get into. But I've always loved words. I've loved books since I was little. I've started writing my first book when I was 9 years old. Never finished it, but it was nicely illustrated with a unicorn and a little girl. And when I grew up, I kept writing books. So like you, Jeff, I've written a number of nonfiction books. Nonfiction books are great because they establish your thought leadership. You can get on podcasts or speaking stages. So one of my nonfiction books is Turn Words into Wealth, Blueprint for Your Business, Brand, and Book. But I also write fantasy. So Magic, Mystery, and the Multiverse. It won Reader's Choice Award, Best Book for Teens. So I love books, and I love helping people.
And it's kind of fun holding your own book in your hands. That's the best part. It never gets old. Every time I publish one and I get it in the mail, it's just like, it's real.
And look at you with your list of books. You're creating a handsome income stream or royalty stream. So you're modeling what you're showing people about getting to their freedom day.
Get as many revenue sources coming in as possible, and especially the ones I don't even have to think about after I get going. So.
Exactly. You put the effort into making it once, and then it spins off income.
Absolutely. Like we were talking about the one book that I wrote that I didn't even think about. I mean, it was just it doesn't even have a sequel or anything like that. And it's making more money than any of the other books I have. And it's not even under my name. It's under a pen name, which is hilarious.
Well, maybe it'll have a sequel.
It definitely is going to have a sequel soon. I can tell you right now. So talk to me a little bit. So you wrote your first book, you said in 2005, right?
Okay. 2005, I published my first book, self-published. That was back when there was a big
exactly.
Independent publishing. Today, it's like, why are you going with the track?
I mean, honestly, when you do look at it, I'm like, I looked at the math because I've been approached a couple times about, well, why don't you come with our publishing company? And and I'm like, so what do I make per book? Well, you make like $1 a book, and I'm like, I make 4 times 4 to 6 times that publishing my own. What are you going to add that's going to, that's going to generate enough to
Exactly.
make up that
Well,
difference?
it's very interesting. So, for example, David
Yep.
Goggins, who wrote the
Sure.
book Can't Hurt Me, he considered going with a traditional publisher. He met with an
Mhm.
agent in New York, and the agent said, if you self-publish, you'll be lucky to sell 5,000 copies. Yeah, exactly. But he decided to self-publish, mostly because he didn't want to
Yeah.
lose control of his story. He didn't want somebody else to own it. And the rest is history, as they say. I believe he sold about 1,000 copies of the book and 600,000 copies
Yes.
of the audiobook
Yeah,
in
and
the
the
first
audiobook is
year,
way better than
making
the
it.
book. I mean, if you don't listen to the audiobook, you are missing like half the story, because the guy that did that with him, where he was asking him questions, it was awesome. So
Yeah, so the guy who did that with him was basically the
yeah.
writer or the ghost writer. His name's not on the cover, but yeah, it was really great. The going back and forth. Or Gary Vee is really great too. When he reads his
Yeah.
audiobooks, he's like, "Well, this is not in the book," but he adds more stuff. Anyway, yes, and
Yeah.
audiobooks are hot. The demand is really growing. Anyway, back to the David Goggins story. If he had gone with a traditional publisher, it would probably have cost him
Mhm.
$20 million
Yeah.
at least. So in other words, he made $20 million more by
Sure.
independently publishing or by publishing it under his own imprint. So if you have any marketing interest, you're best off
Mhm.
self-publishing or independently publishing. And there's no
Yeah.
longer the stigma. It's like, duh, obvious. But there are a few cases where you would want to seek out a traditional publisher if you've already written a bunch of books, you're already an Amazon bestseller, and you want to go for the Wall Street Journal or the USA Today or the New York
Mhm.
Times bestseller. That's very hard to get a New York Times
It'd be an
bestseller
independent
without
publisher.
having
Yeah.
a big
Yeah.
publisher behind you. Although it's been done a few times.
Yep.
Jeff Walker pulled it off with Launch. Anyway, too much detail. Bottom line, I love books.
Awesome.
I'm obsessed with books, as you can
And
probably
I mean,
see.
you were doing
And
it.
I love
I mean,
helping people with their
05, that was
books.
kind of the wild, wild. I mean, so Amazon really wasn't doing the self-publishing thing at that point, right?
No, in 2005, when my first book was published, it was really hard to
Yeah.
get distribution. You had to go through all of these hoops, and now it's super easy. I mean, Amazon makes worldwide
Yep.
distribution so easy. Ebooks, weren't really a thing
Mm-mm.
in
No.
2005. So things have really, really changed. I think that, publishing 1.0 was there
Mhm.
were the gatekeepers. And unless you got a big publisher,
No.
your voice would never be heard. Publishing 2.0 was Amazon and ebooks and worldwide distribution for everybody. And that was great. And what I do, I think, is publishing
Okay.
3.0, which is to make the same system that politicians and celebrities have used for decades available to experts, entrepreneurs, and leaders. So the way that Winston Churchill wrote so many books, he is a Pulitzer Prize winning author, but he didn't
Mhm.
type them out or
Yep.
write them longhand.
Yep.
He spoke them out. And then other people added research, added notes, transcribed it, and turned it into a book because he was very prolific. He would never have been able to, do that
Yeah.
all by himself. And that's how I help
Awesome.
people write books. First, we decide, what's the problem this book is solving? Is it fiction? So it's solving the problem of entertainment, or is
Mhm.
it nonfiction? So it's solving a specific problem, as your
Mhm.
nonfiction books do. And are we also going to use this to leverage the expert to the next level of thought leadership so they can get on podcasts,
Mhm.
radio, and TV and speak on stages and add to the value of their brand? And then I just interview them. And that's fun and fast and easy. And, nowadays you can transcribe it
Instantly. Yeah.
basically instantly. And that becomes the messy first draft. And then
That's
we
brilliant.
polish
Yeah.
it up.
And like I said, I mean, that was how I wrote my first 3 books. Was I had learned the whole dictation model. And I mean, it's just, I mean, it
Mhm.
just, you look at the writing and it just flows because it's speech. I think back to
Yes,
the
speech
books
is
that
conversational.
I have the hardest time reading are the ones that that person sat down in front of a typewriter or a computer and typed that thing out and just did it that way. I mean, I have a hard time reading Stephen King's books because, I mean, he's one of those, I got to sit down in front of a computer and type it out. And it just doesn't flow like speech.
Well, I think the more conversational book is
Yeah.
more friendly, it's more invitational. And the other cool thing, most first time authors, they write their book and then they don't think
Yeah.
about the book launch, but you actually need a number of pieces of social media, dozens or hundreds of pieces of
Mm,
social media content
yeah.
to launch your book. So as I'm interviewing people, we get the
Mhm.
video, we get the audio, and all of that can be sliced and diced into hundreds of pieces of social media content to fill up their YouTube channel or their Facebook or their Instagram or whatever channel they're focused on,
Mhm.
or all of the above. And that can create buzz for the book before it's
Yeah.
launched and after
That's
it's
awesome.
launched. So
Yeah. And you're
adding
not
more
on the
value.
never ending social media machine, I mean, that's,
Yeah.
I laugh. As I was shifting into fiction, and I'm like, okay, this is different from the way I had to market other books before. It's a different thought process. And, you listen to the author, oh, you just need to get on TikTok and, I'm like, I cannot think of anything I want to do less than sit here and blather around and I watched a lot of these authors and I'm like, what are you doing? I just don't get it. I don't get your purpose, or, you're doing something weird just to catch people's eyes. And I'm like, I don't want to do that.
Well, for example, like this book is
Yeah,
50,000 words. Most people can talk 8,000
sure.
words in an hour. So this would maybe be 12
Hmm.
one-hour interviews if it was
Yeah,
done the spoken author method. But each of those interviews could probably be chopped up into at least a dozen short pieces of social media content with the author just conversationally sharing, their challenges, their problems,
yeah.
how they solved
Well, and
them,
stuff
their
that falls,
story.
some stuff that would probably be edited out might be a good blog article or something like that along the same line.
Exactly.
So yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I think it's fantastic.
Yeah.
I think it's a great process.
And
I've
it's fun.
changed my process since, but I mean, I could see going back to that. If I was somewhere where I could walk in the woods every day and just talk, talk to myself,
Yeah.
and
So people
yeah,
may want to do that. And I also find there's something magic happens when somebody who's
yeah,
interested is asking you questions, and I can pull the gold out of somebody's story, because people so often take for
yeah,
granted how they got there because they know where they are and they just like, well, that doesn't matter. No,
mhm,
it does
yeah.
matter how you got there, and even the wrong turns along the way, because you want a book to have both
Mhm.
expertise and humanity.
And so I'm guessing too. I mean, you're not an expert in their category, so you have that ability
Hmm.
to then pull out. Okay, well, this doesn't quite make sense to me. You know, give me a little bit more. Help me understand this a little bit better. Yeah,
Exactly right.
yeah,
Yeah, exactly right. And it's good to have somebody who
yeah.
is unfamiliar with their business, because then they don't skip past
Well,
how
that's
they
my
got
editor,
there.
Jim. I mean, I call him the everyman. If I can get it past Jim and he understands it, then I've done. It'll be a
Yeah.
book everybody loves because I mean, he just has that ability to be just like, okay, I don't get this. You don't, you got to explain it to me a little bit
Yeah.
more.
Yeah.
You're being too financially for me. I need it to be more, personable or whatever. So, yeah.
For every man
Exactly.
or
So
every
everybody's
woman,
got to have a
as the case
gym
may be.
that's
Yeah.
out there that can do that. Yeah.
Everybody needs an editor. Exactly right. And also, it's good to have a Jim or somebody like that, because authors can be
Mhm.
so hard on themselves and throw stuff away that could really be good. In fact, there's a story about Stephen King when he was at the beginning of his writing career and he had some kind of blue collar job that involved a
Oh
lot of
yeah.
sweat, and
He worked.
but he
Yeah,
was
worked in a
writing in the
laundry.
evening,
So yeah, it was awful.
and he longhand wrote an idea for a
Yeah.
story and he threw it out, and his wife fished it out of the garbage can and said, she smoothed it out and said, no, this is
Mm.
really good. And he eventually wrote that, and I believe it
Yes,
became the
it
book
was Carrie.
Carrie. And it was his first
It's what got him out
big
of the
deal. His
laundromat.
agent called him. There you go. You know
Yeah,
the story
he writes
too.
about
Yeah,
that.
his agent called and said,
Yeah,
are you
the
sitting
best
down?
book I think on writing I've ever read is In Writing by Stephen King. It's really good because
That
half the
is a
book
great
is
book.
his story, half of it's like, okay, this is what it takes to be a successful author, and yeah,
Yeah.
that was it.
And that was his
Yeah, the one
first
that could, the
$600,000
one that could
deal.
have just gotten thrown in the trash and and never come out again. So Okay.
Yeah. So nobody can be
Yeah.
objective about their creative process. It's good to have
Perfect.
somebody else to
So
bounce
walk me
things off.
through. I come to you as an author or an expert, and I'm like, I want to be a successful author. Walk me through that process. How do we get started? How are you going to get me to the first draft, and then what do we do kind of after that from the marketing perspective?
Okay, so how we get started is people would come to learn more about Same Page Publishing at
Makes sense.
samepagepublishing.com, and they can see all the award-winning best-selling books that I've helped launch. And then they say, "Oh, I think I'd like to work with Aurora." Probably they
Mhm.
would grab this book, Turn Words into Wealth, because they might as well read that and get
Yeah.
all the free content. But then they can sign up for a free business breakthrough call at
Mhm.
bookcall.biz, and then I'll jump on the phone with them, find out about their business, find out about their goals, and then if I can help them and if they would like me to help them, then we decide to work together
Okay.
for just 1 month. And in the first month, what I do is a mini
Mm.
market feasibility study. So I look at their business, I look at their goals, I look at competitive titles in the industry. If those competitive titles are making money, that's a good sign. If they're
Mhm.
not making money, that's a warning sign. And then we test the title and subtitle and come up with an outline for the book. So by the end of the month, they have clarity. So, for example, one client came to me and he's like, "I want to write a book about
Okay.
podcasting." And I researched that. The best selling book on podcasting is only making
Yeah.
$1,500 a month. That's the best selling book. But this person also had business expertise, and he's also like somebody who really loves to encourage others. And the best selling business books that encourage others are making $5 million a month.
Okay.
So this is the benefit of getting
Yeah.
somebody with my expertise
Let's
at the
not waste our
get-go.
time on the
Let's not write a
podcast
book
book.
about podcasting. All right. So then we create the outline. What problem
Mhm.
does this book solve? Who is the ideal reader? And then at the end of the month, the person can go, "Great. Thank you so much, Aurora. I've got my blueprint. I know what to do."
Mhm.
And they go do it. Or usually half the time they say, "That was great. I really love working with you. Can
Yeah.
you just help me through the whole process?" And then if we both decide we'd like to continue working on it, not the podcast book,
Mm-mm.
that's
Not gonna
not
happen.
that's
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
not going to be a home run. And then we work on me interviewing them for each of those chapters, solving each chapter, solve a problem. And then we we get it transcribed instantly. They get the transcript. I help them turn that into like a beautiful
Mhm.
polished manuscript, help them create the interior layout design, get a great cover designer, make sure everything is top notch, and then follow it all the way through to the
Nice.
Amazon bestseller launch so that it's
Mhm.
not just a book. It's like a
Yes.
book that's launched. And I just launched a book for a client last week. It's called $1 Billion
Mhm.
Communication Skills by John Brink, and
Yeah.
he's like thrilled. He got to the Amazon #1 bestseller
Mhm.
in his category, and he's got dozens of rave reviews. So it was like a stellar success for him, and he's absolutely thrilled. When he came to me, the book idea was called Talkback. So I suggested, "How about $1
Yeah.
Billion Communication Skills?" He's like, "Oh, I like that a lot better. Yes, I think it'll work
Yeah.
better for you."
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's aspirational title versus confusing title, if anything. Um, so then what's
Yeah,
the on,
exactly.
is it, do you find that that person goes with just one book and then that's it? Or, hey, this is a real thing. Now we need to kind of plan out a series of books in this area.
That's what I often find. So, for example, I helped a litigation attorney. His name
Mhm.
is Michael Stockham. Write and publish and promote his first book, which is called Confessions of an
Okay.
An
Mhm.
accidental lawyer. Sorry, and that was titled Mirthless Soul when it came to me. I'm
Just,
like, how about a better
just for the
title?
simple fact that you stop people from making really stupid mistakes with the names of the books alone, that's worth it just right there. There's
that
no chance
that
in
is.
hell that you're going to sell this book at all. It could be the best book on the planet, but that's the worst title ever. Yeah.
Exactly. On the other hand,
Yeah.
Confessions of an
Is
Accidental
a
Lawyer is a really
fantastic one.
good
Yeah.
title. Yeah, and then he loved that so much. So now we're working on a series of
Nice.
9 legal thrillers with a different fictional protagonist whose
Okay.
name is Jake Fox. So the first 2 books are out now. The third one is coming out in about
Perfect.
6 months. So, but we've planned a total of 9 books. And he's got over 100,000 readers, over
That's
3,000
awesome.
reviews, a bunch of awards, American Fiction Awards. So the books are really successful. But here's the surprising
Mm.
thing. You know this, Jeff, because you've got books. He's finding that he's attracting 7-figure
Yeah.
clients because as a litigation attorney, oftentimes it's like 7 figures. It can be
Yeah.
eight figures even. And they look at different litigation attorneys, all
Mhm.
of whom look the same in
Yeah.
suits, except this one, because Michael Stockham is, a best-selling, award-winning author, and that
Yeah.
makes him interesting. So like, let's work with that
So
one.
his first book is
So it's
nonfiction, and
interesting
then he's
how
shifting into a fiction model. Okay,
actually they're
cool.
all
Very nice.
fiction, but the first book was inspired by a pro bono
Okay.
case that he took. So the legal story in it is inspired by, but the
But
personal
you,
story
yeah,
in it
you
is
shared that one
not.
thing right there as a story. Because typically a legal book, I
Yeah.
mean, financial books, same thing. I mean, my successful, where it took a while to get my brain fixed was it just needs to be a personal story. My latest book that came out, it's really my story of how I went from being a corporate employee to my freedom day. And you get to hear the
Yeah.
trials and tribulations along the way. And I didn't cut anything. Yeah, it was like, okay, this is how it worked. And if you want to do this,
Yeah.
this is what you might do, although you don't make the same dumb mistakes I did. So yeah.
Well, that's the thing. And I think in the age of AI, our
Yeah.
stories are worth more than ever because people can produce a bunch of
Crap.
generic
Yeah. Yeah.
words. Crap. I was going to
Yeah.
say
Let me
that,
be
and then I'm
honest
like,
about it.
that's
It's
going to be
crap.
kind of
Yeah.
rude. But I think we can really double down
Yeah.
on the value of our own stories. Human beings want to know what other human beings have suffered
Yeah.
and triumph. They want to know that
Yeah.
hero's journey of struggle,
Yeah.
breakthrough, whatever, and then it's like, oh, this Jeff is just like me. I'd like to work.
Yeah.
I'd like to work with him. Or Aurora
I'd
is
like
just
to work
like
with
me. I'd
her.
like
Yeah.
to work
That's
with her.
awesome. So
Yeah.
what's in
Yeah.
the future for you? What's new?
Well, what's really cool is primarily I've been helping people, as you know,
Mhm.
publish books. I've also helped a number of founders raise money for a startup.
Interesting.
So every founder I've helped raise money for a startup has raised
Wow.
7 or 8
That's a lot of
figures. So that
success.
was
Yeah.
a very good success. But now I've just launched this kind of founder authority, instant
Okay.
authority plan because I realized some people don't necessarily want to write a book, but they could have a nonprofit or they could
Mhm.
have a business and they want to get their message down, what I call your $1 million message. So they want help creating
Okay.
their $1 million message. And then now that figured out I figured out the trifecta. You really need to ideally
Mhm.
have a book on Amazon or a podcast or a video because Amazon's the number 3 search engine. And then you need to
Mhm.
be on YouTube because YouTube is the
Yep.
number 2 search engine. And then the number 1 search engine is actually becoming
Mhm.
ChatGPT. So while some people may or may not want to have a book, I can help people with
Mhm.
being on YouTube and becoming a mini celebrity by
Mhm.
interviewing them. So we spend sprint time getting them really clear on their $1 million message so they can get their website clear so they can raise capital or seek donations
Mhm.
for their charity. And then once they're clear in their message, I interview them
Yep.
because I love doing that. And then the outcome is they and their name and their business name will be on YouTube with
Nice.
thousands of views. Maybe they want to continue on and do a book, but what I realize is like let's have
Mhm.
a sprint with an
Yeah.
outcome that's valuable for somebody
Well,
who
and I mean,
doesn't have that.
that's what they need right then. I mean, the book is fine, but that's what they
Yeah,
really need right then is they need that presence because,
exactly.
although they might look me up on Amazon to find my book, they're probably just going to Google me or put something in the chat GPT first
Yeah,
to see, okay, well, who
yeah.
is this person? Is it somebody I even want to waste my time with at that point?
And it's interesting, like I was searching on ChatGPT yesterday for
Yeah.
microphone recommendations of all things. I've got a Blue Yeti and somebody else recommended I should get a
Sure.
Shure
Whatever.
MX7, I think it was. So I I want to hear what your
It's
recommendation
a
is.
blue.
Looks like you've got
Yeah.
a Blue Yeti.
I think I own 6 of these.
Yeah, okay.
Because I'll do the podcast in multiple locations, so they're set up in all these different locations, and I've used them for probably 6-7 years now. They're awesome. Yeah.
They are awesome. So anyway, but ChatGPT gave me some information, compared
Yep.
the two microphones, suggested some other microphones, but then said, if you want to have listen more, go here. Where did they send me?
There
A
you go.
YouTube video that only had 27,000 views. So it didn't have that many views, but it was specifically on that topic. So that's why I realized, for people who don't have any media experience, they haven't been on radio, they haven't been on TV, they haven't been on dozens of podcasts or hundreds of podcasts, getting that first bit of traction on
Sure.
YouTube can really make a difference. And then they can put that video on their website, or share it on their social, or whatever the case may be.
I
So
like it.
that's what's new, is that
Yeah, well,
media
and it's
buzz
your
went.
background anyhow. So I mean, that's the beauty of it, is it makes it
Yeah,
very simple, because you're leveraging years of doing that to begin with. So that's fantastic. I love it.
exactly
Love
right.
it. Love it. Love
Exactly
it.
right. And I love, if they want to see more about that, they can check out my Strategic Basics on the
Awesome. Well, we'll
YouTube
make
channel,
sure.
which is leveraging my film and TV background, because it's not just talking heads. We've also got a lot of B-roll and having fun with creating mini movies. They're
I love
15
this.
minutes
I'll
long.
have to check it out. Now it's that's what I mean. Now that basically YouTube's integrated to even like my TV, I just watch YouTube on my TV most of the time, and
I know. Did you know 70% of people
I can
watch
believe it.
YouTube on their
Well,
TV?
they've made it easy. I mean, it used to
It's
be,
huge.
it was
Yeah.
impossible to do up till this new generation of smart TVs, and like I have some.
Yeah.
So I was a big fan of Motor Trend channel before they just completely destroyed it and fired everybody. Well, all those guys shifted over to YouTube channels, and I mean, it's like watching the old shows, but it's new stuff, and they're, I mean, the
Well,
production quality is as good as it was when it was on Motor Trend. So
most people don't know that YouTube has actually got more
I can
views
believe it.
than Netflix or
Yeah.
Apple or
Because I mean,
Amazon Prime.
yeah,
Like,
I mean,
it's a
it
big
used to be
deal,
just,
YouTube.
hey, I want to learn how to do whatever. Now it's like, hey, I want to be entertained. I want, I've noticed so many people that like disappeared from Food Channel and all these, they all have gone over to YouTube, and they're creating their own channels, and you own your own content at that point. So
And to me,
it's awesome.
that's freedom,
Why
right? When
not?
you
If you
create
can,
your
yeah.
own content.
And you don't
that.
have to answer to the studio bosses or some idiot that comes in and says, okay, we're going to fire the whole staff of people, even though they've been, working forever and creating content people love.
The other thing that I learned, and I wrote a whole episode about it on Strategic Basics, is a new way to monetize your book. You might want to consider this, Jeff. So, for example, there's an author, he writes zombie novellas. They're little short books, like half an hour of audio, and he posts them on YouTube once a week. They're called Dead America. And he translates them. Everything is done with AI except the initial creation of a very short half-hour story. But every time he uploads an episode, he makes $100 instantly on YouTube. And then there's a long tail, because there's so many other episodes that people could watch. So that could be fun for you to consider with now that you're leaning into fiction, or you could probably do it with nonfiction too. You can take a
I've
deep
been
dive
doing that. The other series, because I love murder mystery and stuff like that, and so I was doing that on my Substack. And so I have a strategy. I stopped for a few months because I have other projects, but I would launch a story on Thursday, and so the whole idea was launch the story. So this is the initial murder mystery, with one detective in Chicago in the mid '90s, and then every day for 6 days there was a clue. So there was it was like his case, his case file, and so every day up until the next one was going to be released, and then on the day of the new release, the final the final here's the solution to the puzzle happened. So it was pretty well received. So I'll have to go back to it once I get done with all these projects. So.
Were you
not yet? I mean, it was at the beginning. Yeah, the beginning of it. I think it will be. I mean, Substack, I'm still trying to figure out. It's a weird animal. It's a strange place.
I think if you took that same idea and did it on YouTube,
Yeah, I mean, I tried it. I needed to really just actually get on there and read it on, on the thing. And I published it with an audio version, you know.
Well, that's what this zombie author does, but he does the audio
Okay.
with the AI.
Yeah.
That was the hack. You can see the list of all the things he did if you go to the strategic
I
basics
love this.
and check
I
the
love it.
zombie author one. But it was like kind of cool because I'm always paying attention
Yeah.
to how can people monetize, what are other ways. And like I said, if you can have a book or a podcast on Amazon that solves a specific problem, and then you are on YouTube, then you will be indexed by ChatGPT and Claude and Perplexity and things like that, especially if your book on Amazon has got reviews on Goodreads, because they index Goodreads. So that's the play.
Yeah. Well, and I think, I think people forget about Goodreads. I mean, it is a place I put a lot of emphasis on it. Probably the last 3 to 4 books, I put a big emphasis on Goodreads of starting to build that up. And I mean, it's surprisingly, it kind of builds on itself. It's amazing. It's an interesting community of people. And especially if you participate in that community, it's much easier, I think, in some aspects to get your grounding on Goodreads versus, Amazon. And it just turns into Amazon sales, but.
Yeah, it does, because the Goodreads reviews eventually get taken over to Amazon, because Amazon owns
which is even better. Yeah,
it takes over.
Yeah, everything. It's just the Goodreads audience is a little bit more brutal, so you got to make sure you have a polished product.
They're harsher with their reviews.
Yeah, you're not going to get mom glowing review there. They're gonna pound on you a little bit if you put out garbage. So
yeah.
Well, Aurora.
Well, that's part of one thing to do with the book launch strategy is actually you can let the Goodreads people read a book before it's released. You can let them access, as long as you've uploaded the book, you can let them access the advanced reader copy. And that way you can build reviews and momentum even before launch, which is
a little hack. Yeah. And there's a couple little review sites too that work that way that I'm a big fan of that I've used. I mean, I had 7 books hit first, bestseller right off the gate, within a week, last year. Nice. So that process works. You just got to kind of build your momentum ahead of time. Okay. Well, let's switch gears a little bit and talk about the Fast 5 questions. All right. So first question, you wake up in the morning, business is gone. You have $500, a laptop, computer, place to stay, food and clothing. What do you do first?
I loved this question because it reminded me of what I should do now anyway. So I would go to local Chamber of Commerce, Rotary Club, startup meetings, accelerator, anywhere where entrepreneurs would meet or business owners would meet. And I would see what problems they have that I could solve for them. And I would expect within a week, I would have a client who wanted something that has to do with words, because that's my area of expertise. I've spent, decades in the film and television and publishing industry. So solving problems with words can be anything from creating an irresistible offer so that people feel stupid saying no.
Absolutely.
As mostly would say. To revamping a website. Oftentimes businesses are so successful that they've just ignored their website and it was done a decade ago and it's really lame. So I could help them with that, to creating a brochure or, obviously interviewing them, turning it into video, creating video content, creating verbal content. So I think that would be what I would
What's
do.
your biggest business?
And I don't even need the $500.
Without it, right? What is your biggest business mistake that you've ever made?
I love this question too. These are really good questions that you have. My biggest business mistake was I fall in love with my businesses and my clients and the problems that I'm solving. And I never thought that I would ever want to sell any of my businesses until I was fed up. That's
not the best time to sell them. Yeah, you want to do it. You want to go out on a high, but okay.
So if I had it to do all over again, or I am definitely now thinking through the exit strategy, even when I'm all like hyped and thinking,
Yeah.
I'm in love with this
I
business.
know. I want to keep it forever. My baby is beautiful until my baby is ugly.
It's my baby. Exactly. Yeah. So even though I did have
Yeah.
a couple of exes, they would have been far more lucrative if I had still had a couple of
Sure.
years of excitement to keep
Yeah.
running the
Or
business
know
with
that,
a
okay,
new
this is the
owner.
time. At this point, you've got a very clear exit of,
Yeah.
okay, this is the time I'm going to exit, and you go at that point.
Yeah. So I think that's where, somebody with your expertise
Mm.
could really be helpful to the listeners to like, okay, call Jeff, find out what your freedom day is. What's your freedom number? And
What's
then
that business
plan if you've got a
valuation, and can you
successful
live
business,
off of what
plan an
that
exit.
valuation is? If not, you get out and hustle a little
Exactly.
bit, girl.
Exactly. So
What's
yeah.
what's a good book that you'd
All
recommend
right.
for our audience?
Oh my gosh, I have so many books because I'm a book aficionado. I was just listening again to the second time to Alex Hormozy's book, $100 million offers. So that's
Just
basic. His $100 million leads is also great. He just came up with a new book, which
money.
is coming out soon or coming out
What
in a
is it?
week.
Money.
100 million money
No,
structure or
money
something.
systems or
Money
something like that.
systems.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm part of the launch with that. I can't wait. I'm like, I love
Are you? What are you doing as
so
part
well.
of the launch?
I went through the VIP thing, so I'm just like, okay, I'll pay you the whatever. I paid way too much for a book, basically is really what it is. But I love Alex's stuff. I mean, I will tell you, Alex's stuff changed all of my businesses, and it came from a podcast. It was hilarious. It was Christmas time last year. I did a podcast on Christmas Eve with a guy who was in Croatia or something weird like that. So I mean, we were doing it at like 3:00 in the afternoon. I'm like, dude, it's like 9, 10 o'clock at night, and you're doing a podcast on Christmas night, or it's Christmas night your time, and whatever. And that was he was like, well, I would do $100 million leads or any of Alex Hormozy's books. And I'm like, I don't even know who this guy is. And I figured, well, over Christmas I'd read them. And I literally absorbed them. I just finished rereading it. The $100 million leads. I'm rereading I'm rereading offers, or I read offers, and I'm rereading leads right now.
They're really good to review because they're such business basics. I also really like, maybe this is one you haven't read, Pitch Anything by Oren Klaff. So that's because I think as entrepreneurs and experts, we're always selling something.
Yep, absolutely.
So Pitch Anything is a really good book about pitching. So that's excellent. And I also like the book, The Talent Code by Daniel Coyle. And what I really loved most about that book is he said, a lot of people think that either you have talent or you don't. But he said, actually, talent is grown, not born. And there's 3 ways to develop talent or to grow your talent. One is you got to want it. So you got to turn the ignition on. And then number 2, you have to deeply practice. So you have to get in there and practice right at the edge of your capacity, not like phoning it in, but you're playing tennis against somebody who's just a little bit better than you, but they're not crushing you. They're not 10 times better than you. And then the third way to grow your talent is to have a mentor to hold you accountable and invite you to the next level. So that was a really encouraging book because everybody can grow their talent.
Yeah, we're not born with it by any way, shape, or form. So I don't care what people think.
And reading books.
Well, but I mean, reading books is it's if you get one thing out of each book, and I mean, I think of there's all of Mike Michalowicz's books I've reread multiple times, and there's always something new that comes out of every reread.
What's your favorite?
Profit First. I mean, always. I mean, it's the book that saved my business, 10 years ago. So I will always love Mike for that. And he's a friend, and I've connected with him over the years, but Clockwork's actually my favorite. Because Clockwork takes you, it teaches you how to get out of your business and build that. And, and he's another one. If you've never listened to the audiobooks, he does all of his own audiobooks, and he's basically a human equivalent of a big yellow dog, like a Labrador. He's just like, and he tells really stupid dad jokes. And I mean, it's just, he's a great auditor. as well as, as an author. So,
Oh,
yeah, you'll
thanks.
love
I'll
them. I
check
mean,
that out.
and every book,
Clockwork.
every book is written for a specific problem. So it's just one specific
Mm.
problem. Profit first. You're unprofitable in your business. How do you get profitable? Clockwork. You're way too much in your business. How do you get yourself out of your business? He's got one called Fix This Next. And it's just really, how do you look at your business and go, okay, this is freaking broken. Fix that first and then work on the next thing. So they're just well written, and they're
Yeah, I
usually
like it.
probably a 2-day read, especially I'm sure you're probably a fast reader. So they're like a 2-day read.
And
Yeah.
that's a very good tip to really dial in on a specific problem and write several
Yeah.
books instead of
We don't have to do them all in
writing
one.
all of
Yeah.
the solutions.
I was
You don't
counseling a friend I met at a networking event, and he's like, well, I wrote this book, and I'm listening to him, and I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, this is going to be the most boring book that I've ever heard. And he's like, well, I'm at like page 485. And I'm like, oh God, please stop.
Oh, no.
And so finally I was like, okay, I will not help you until you come back to me with how you can break that book into 6 different books at a bare minimum. Yeah. Then I'll help you at that point, because I cannot help you with the Bible, and and it's a boring Bible on top of it. So yeah, no.
Well, it's like Jordan
Yeah.
Peterson, his first book is Maps of Meaning, and it's so dense. I'm a huge Jordan Peterson fan, but it was like so hard to get through, and it had that definitely non-conversational tone of, you could see that he reworked each chapter like 200 times.
Any of the Stephen Covey books, I just cannot get through. And I mean, the only more boring writer is Stephen Covey's son. I'm like, just please stop. When people tell me, oh, 7 Habits, I'm like, I have never gotten past habit 2. It's so boring. Can't take it. Okay, so what's a tool?
But then on the other hand, 12 rules for life.
Whatever. I can't get past 7 Habits, so I'm just not going any farther. So what's a tool that you use in your business every day that you can't do without?
Oh my gosh. Well, this is probably going to be the same as what everybody else says. Now I just lost you because I was looking up.
I'm here. Oh,
there you are. I got to expand that. There you go. Sorry. What was
tool you use every day?
Tools I use every day. All right. Well, one of the tools that I use every day that I think most businesses could benefit from is Fireflies.
Interesting.
So Fireflies is so cool because I do use Zoom as well. But what I like about Fireflies is if you set up a recurring meeting and you've got your Zoom link, Fireflies will jump on the meeting like a minute or 2 before it starts. And it will automatically record the call, automatically make a summary of the key points of the call using AI, and then automatically send it to me as well as my client. So I don't have to take any action. Like I do have the call also recorded on Zoom because we're wanting to slice and dice the video content, but then I would have to go into Zoom and copy it. This is all done automatically. So what's really good about it is because I often have today, just before getting on this podcast, I had an in-depth call with a client and I mapped out what we needed to do over the next year. There was a lot of content. And so, but instantly he's got not only the discussion, but the summary of the discussion. And then I also use Google Docs all the time. I'd also put the summary of what we need to do next in the next 12 months to launch his best-selling book.
Perfect.
So that he could clearly see, what I'm going to do, what his team needs to do, and that we have, when
exactly. And how it's going to happen. And you do that every meeting. So, you've got that ongoing thing. Yeah. My,
and then I would have,
my Fixer AI is another one that does that. I was looking for a way I was trying to figure out how to create an automated or an AI employee to manage my email. Yeah. Well, to manage my email, because I get so many, I get like 400 emails a day. And a lot of it's just marketing, newsletters and stuff like that. And so I was missing like important crap that I needed to know. Yeah, because it's buried in all the crap. And so I found Fixer AI, and for $50 a month, I have 9 email accounts that it goes through, and then it also looks at my calendars, and it'll jump onto a meeting. If I have a meeting, it jumps onto my Zoom with me and does those summaries like that. So
Oh,
yes, very similar.
nice. Very good. And then I would imagine most people listening to
Mm-hmm.
this already do this, but I
Yep.
use AI every day, either
Mm-hmm.
ChatGPT or Claude. But what was a breakthrough for me was creating projects and also really leaning into being very
Mm-hmm.
specific and detailed with the prompts and having prompts associated with each different project. So, for example, Strategic Basics is a weekly YouTube show. So I use ChatGPT to research the show and to
Mm-hmm.
dig up the content and then to draft an initial
Mm-hmm.
script, which I
Yeah.
usually reject, but I think AI used well, it really forces
Yeah.
you to get really clear. What is the tone of this show? Who is it for? How long are each episode? I always want to have a quote from somebody or a clip from a video. And if you put all of that into like a blueprint, it forces you
Sure.
to think more clearly, and then to have a system to do it. And I like doing it. It often misses the
Mm-hmm.
mark entirely, but it
Well, I
makes
mean,
for fast
and,
iteration.
and
Then I go,
it's
no, that's
interesting, like
totally
Chat
wrong.
5, which just came out, I guess, this week or whatever, because I was in the midst of a Chat
Hmm.
4 and all, or 4.0, and all of a sudden it was like, what's Chat 5? Where the hell did this come from? But they've built into Chat 5 what I've had to force in, because this is something I learned a
Mm.
long, long time ago because I wasn't getting the results I wanted until I put one thing always after everything I asked it to do was, what questions do you have for me before we start? And then when you
Exactly.
grant it the ability to ask you questions, I'm not sure if it's built into Chat 5 right now, or if it's because of that memory function that knows that I've given it permission before that it does this. But now I've found that it does that automatically. Because Claude's
Well,
always had
that's
that built
good.
in. Because like when I was using Claude to write fiction, I would kind of put something out there and it'd be like, oh, okay, well, what are we trying to do here? And I don't see, it doesn't make sense to me.
Claude is
Oh,
much better
way,
with
way better.
words than
Yeah. Although
ChatGPT.
it's catching up. I mean, it is,
Yeah,
I use
it's
Claude
changing every week. Yeah,
for writing. And I use,
yeah.
ChatGPT, I think is better for marketing. And I've trained it in what I call Jeff Kickle style. So my challenge
Hmm.
today was I needed to create some prompts to help my VA to help create some articles for clients. I was in there. Have you ever had it create its own prompts? This was freaking
No, not
cool.
yet. Although
Yeah,
that's a
this was
good
a
hack.
freaking cool thing because I mean, I was basically like, I'm gonna have my VA creating the first draft of an article, and I need it to write in Jeff Kickle style, and it will not be in, because we've developed what Jeff Kickle style is for multitudes of prompts. And so I was like, I need you to give me the prompt that I can take and give to
Hmm,
her so that she can put that in and it will write in Jeff Kickle style. And it put out the coolest, like, detailed prompt
that's
of like
great.
specifically every last, the tone and this and that. And it should be, only 2 or 3 words per paragraph, or 2 or 3 sentences per paragraph, blah blah blah. I mean, it was really good.
Have you uploaded all of your books into your project so that it
I
can
do. Yeah, I
reference
do.
that
I find,
material?
yeah, it gets a little
Yeah.
bogged down when you load too much into those. But yeah, I've created individual projects for each book, because then I'll go in and say, okay, here's the book. Now I need you to write the book description. I need you to write all the stuff, and I
Yeah.
can never find my author bio. So every book that I do, I'm like, I need you to write me an author bio, because I need a new
I need a
one,
new one.
update it
I
with the
forget
new
where I
stuff
put
or
it.
whatever. But yeah, no, it's pretty awesome. So yeah, it's getting better. It's getting
Mm.
better. I use Grok a lot too, for certain stuff. Like you were doing the microphone thing. If you put that into Grok, you would be blown away with what you get out of it. So yeah.
All right, cool. Or do you use Notebook
No, I've never
LM?
heard of that one.
So Notebook LM is really good because it doesn't
Okay.
invent anything and it doesn't go
Okay.
online. So it doesn't hallucinate. So where I use Notebook LM would be, for example, with my fantasy series, Magic, Mystery, and the Multiverse,
Okay.
there's 3 books in this series. So it's like
Hmm.
200,000 words. Or for the legal thrillers that I'm helping a client with, I upload the books and then I can ask
Nice.
for a synopsis, a plot line, whatever, and it will, or give me the character list or what happens in this book, or this versus book 2
Okay.
versus book 3. And that's really useful when I'm turning it into a Bible to pitch for a television
Nice.
series or for a
Yeah.
feature film, especially if
Yeah.
it wasn't me who wrote it. It will
I'm not
save
going to
a
sit
ton
here
of
and read
time
this
not
whole
having to
damn
read
thing again. Yeah.
200,000
I've already
words.
sat and listened to you talk about it. Yeah.
So Notebook LM is
Awesome. I
maybe
love that.
something
I'll
to
put
add
that
to
on the
your
list, especially
things
for a
to play
writer.
with.
It's immense. Last
Yeah,
question for you.
exactly.
What is your definition of freedom?
My definition of freedom is to be able to be creatively
Okay.
self-expressed. For me, that's what gives me joy, is creating and helping others create stuff that I think will make a difference. Either it'll make somebody feel happier because they feel entertained, or it will give them insight and information that will make a difference in their life. So
Brilliant. I love that. That's a great answer. Yeah. You didn't give me the usual, oh, I want to be able to do with whatever and have enough money and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. But it's more
I
about it.
figured you'd
Yeah.
have
Thank
enough
you
of
for
those
that.
boring
No, it's
answers.
awesome. Aurora, if somebody is interested in learning more about you or figuring out, hey, I really need her help, where's the best place to go?
Well, the easiest place to go is Same Page Publishing, because I'm come on the
There you
same
go.
page as my clients. We're both on the same side of the table, trying to help them get to the next level as a thought leader
Mm,
or expert with a best-selling, award-winning book that makes a difference. Or they can grab my book, Turn Words into Wealth: Blueprint for Your Business,
perfect.
Brand, and Book, on
Yeah.
Amazon. I've written 10 books,
We'll
so that's
make
just
sure we link.
the one that I
Yeah,
think
we'll make sure we
is most
link to the
helpful.
book and to your website on the show notes. So make
Thanks,
sure that
Jeff.
you reach out to her. Once again, she is the real deal. You've spent 50 minutes with us, so you know she is the real deal at this point. So, Aurora, thank you so much for being on the show. It was a pleasure speaking with you. I couldn't stop. So, I mean, it's like an hour and a half with us right now. But thank you.
It's a
Thank you
joy
so
getting to know
much.
you, Jeff.
Look forward to continuing the conversation down the road. Folks, make sure that you subscribe to the channel. Make sure that you give us that upvote on YouTube or wherever you're listening to this so that we can continue to get the show in front of more people. So thanks a lot, and we will see you guys back here the very next time.
All in